Hello there, this is the second part of the 6.07 lesson, and we were trying to finish up our tensions in your Eastern European sheet. So we were on Georgia, and we talked about why it was an object of rivalry for Persia, Turkey, and Russia, and that was because of its rich farmland and mineral sources. And now we have question 6. What caused Georgia to lose control of South Ossetia and Azbekazia in 1993? And it says here, both the Osset and Azbek regions enjoyed autonomy during Soviet rule, and both allied with Russia to separate from Georgia. And if we check our answers here with the lesson answer key, it says the same thing. Now let's look at Romania. Let's go back here to our, I know it's a lot of hopping around, Romania. Bran Castle, Dracula's castle, is spectacularly situated near the Transylvania Alps. Yes, Dracula in Transylvania, the legendary tale, is in Romania. Romania lies on the Black Sea coast of southeastern Europe. The Carpathian Mountains and the Transylvanian Alps divide the country into three physical and historical regions. Wallachia in the south, Moldavia in the northeast, and Transylvania in the country's center. The majority of the people are Romanian, but the Hungarian minority live in the Transylvanian basin, number some 1.7 million. Communists took power in 1947 and installed the Soviet-style government. Under President Nicolae Ceausescu, however, Romania steered its own course, refusing to participate in the Warsaw Pact maneuvers and conducting half its trade with the West. Police had arrested dissidents and monitored contacts with foreigners. A producer of grain and oil, Romania, so named because it was a colony of Imperial Rome, is also a favored Black Sea vacation spot. But Romanian citizens enjoyed little of the bounty under communism. To help repay bank loans, petroleum and agricultural produce were exported during the 80s, while imports were restricted. Electricity was rationed, and shop shelves were laid bare. With decline in production, basic commodities remained scarce and exports slowed. In 1989, government security police killed demonstrators in Timisoara and Bucharest, igniting a revolution. The ensuing execution of Ceausescu and his wife ended their reign of repression, deprivation, and ethnic discrimination. The government that followed have been laboring under massive foreign debt. Significant levels of public and private corruption impede economic growth and undercut public trust in new democratic institutions. Romania joined NATO in 2004 and became a member of the European Union in 2007. Economy. Industry is textiles and footwear, light machinery and auto assembly, mining and timber. Agriculture is wheat, corn, barley, sugar beets, and eggs. And exports include textiles and footwear, metals and metal products, machinery and equipment, minerals, and fuels. Now let's look at our questions. What were the conditions like when Romania was under communist rule? And it talks about they arrested dissidents and monitored contacts with foreigners. They enjoyed little of the bounty under communism, and it talks about here things were rationed and they went without a lot of things. And if we check with our lesson answer key, it says exports were restricted, electricity was rationed, and shops were empty. What were some of the, Next question, number 8, what were some of the political and economic issues that hampered economic growth and reduced public trust in democratic institutions? Okay, it talks about debt and public and private corruption, which undercut public trust. We talk about, go to massive foreign debt and public and private corruption is what they have in the lesson answer key. And lastly, Ukraine. So let's close out Romania and look at the Ukraine site. Ukrainian guide. Kiev's Orthodox Cathedral was built in the 11th century to rival the Hagia Sophia. Go to facts. The Carpathian Mountains rise in the west and Crimean Mountains in the south, but the heartland of Ukraine, slightly larger than France, is the rich flat earth that stretches for 1,000 miles, known as the steppe. Once called the breadbasket of the Soviet Union, Ukraine also has huge deposits of coal and iron that feed heavy industry, particularly in the Donbas region and Kryvyi Rih regions. Such natural wealth tempered conquerors. In 988, Vladimir the Great adopted Christianity, which evolved into Russian Orthodoxy to unify the Kievan Rus, a confederation of Slavic peoples. The Mongols overran the land in the 13th century, followed by the Lithuanians in the 14th century. Poland asserted dominion in 1569. Defying their Polish masters, rebel-minded peasants, the Cossacks, gathered under warlike leaders called hetmans in the vastness of the steppe. After a revolt by Bohdan Khmelnytsky, the Cossacks formed their own state in 1649. But in 1654, still fighting the Poles, they entered a pact with Russia, which soon exerted control. As you can see, a very storied history. At its greatest extent, about 1880, the Russian Empire encompassed 85% of present-day Ukraine. The remainder is under the influence of Austria-Hungary. After the Russian Revolution, Ukraine enjoyed brief independence. Despite Lenin's promises, however, the Red Army invaded, and by 1920, most of Ukraine was Bolshevik-ruled. Joseph Stalin, fearing Ukrainian nationalism, killed the intelligentsia, and through his policy of collectivization, engineered a famine in 1932 and 33 that took at least 5 million lives. Nazi occupation scourged the country during the Great Patriotic War. The Republic lost 7.5 million people, 4 million of them civilians, and 2.2 million deported to Germany as laborers. After World War II, Soviet rule prevailed. Ukraine suffered the world's worst recorded nuclear accident. In the morning of April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear plant, 80 miles north of Kiev, exploded, sending radioactive contaminants 3 miles up in the atmosphere and out over parts of Europe, Asia, and North America. A political meltdown occurred in December 1991 when 90% of Ukrainians voted for independence, in effect dissolving the Soviet Union. Now Ukraine faces ongoing border disputes with Russia. The new millennium has brought economic growth with rising industrial output and falling inflation. The economy. Industry is fueled by coal, electric power, ferrous and non-ferrous metals, machinery and transport equipment. Agriculture is grain, sugar beet, sunflower seed, and beef. And exports are ferrous and non-ferrous metals, fuel and petroleum products, chemicals, machinery, and transport equipment. All right, let's look at our questions on Ukraine. What happened on April 26, 1986? That was the explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear plant. And what political issues does Ukraine have with Russia? How has they fared in the new millennium? And what was the question again? What political issue do they have with Russia? Border dispute is their ongoing problem with Russia, and the new millennium has brought economic growth with rising industry and falling inflation. You can check that on the answer guide or answer key as well. Okay, so let's go back here to our lesson. So you should have your tensions in Eastern Europe sheet completed. And don't forget to review the prior lessons for the 6.07 quiz and complete the quiz. And best of luck to you. Goodbye.